Cal State Fullerton hosting Texas Tech at Anderson Family Field in Game 1 of the Judy Garment Classic. Bottom of the first, no score, Daisy Munoz is going to single to right field and score the runner from third. Titans take the lead 1-0. Top of the 7th, same score, bases loaded, Shelby Henderson is going to hit this one into right field, but Kelsey Whitmore is there and is able to end the game. Fullerton wins 1-0. Let's head to game number 2 of the doubleheader as Fullerton faced off against the Cal Bears, and boy, would this be a good one. Top of the 2nd, no score. Candace Yingling would change that as she homers to deep left field. Her 2nd home run of the season, and the Cal Bears take the lead 1-0. Bottom of the 4th we go, Cal now up 2-0. Zoe Richard hits a solo dolo shot to right field, her 3rd home run of the season. The Titans making the comeback, cut this lead to 1. Same inning and same score, Deja Hill gonna single up the middle. Irie Souffle comes in to score and tie the game at 2, and the Titans got the momentum going. Still in the 4th, Janelle Rodriguez gonna single to left field. Michaela Coelho throws the home plate, but it's ruled safe because of interference. Titans take the 3-2 lead. Next inning now, still 3-2. Irie Souffle goes up the middle. Bears center fielder coming home, but it's offline. And the Titans take the 4-2 lead and would go on to win 4-3.
It's championship weekend for Big West sports, and the women's soccer team had a chance to win the top seed and host a conference tournament. The men's team had a different story. They needed to win to keep their season alive and qualify for the Big West tournament.
Plus, basketball tips off at Tyne Gym. All this and more on this week's episode of Tyne Sports.
The Fullerton soccer teams closed the regular season at home, but the stakes were completely different. Welcome to Tyne Sports. I'm Brianna Collins.
And I'm Kimberly Cruz. We'll get to the men's soccer team in just a bit, but first, the women had a chance to win their first Big West regular season title since 2015. But this time, if they were to win the top seed, they would also earn the right to host the conference tournament.
So let's get to Titan Stadium, Fullerton hosting CSUN. First half, Cindy Arteaga gets the chip to go over the head of Noah Shoemaker, and the Matadors lead 1-0. Second half, Fullerton storms back. Atlanta Primus feeds it through the ball to Maddie Bennett, who rips a shot on the first touch. Fullerton ties the game at 1. 77th minute, Titans on the corner kick. Savannah Loniger floats in the box, and Haley Brown would finish. That would be all they need for Fullerton and goes on to win 2-1. The Big West tournament kicks off this Thursday, November 7th, as number 2 CSUN plays number 3 UC Santa Barbara. Meanwhile, number 1 seed Fullerton will face off against Hawaii to determine who will play in the Big West Conference Championship on November 10th.
Let's get to the men's season finale, where they honored their seniors before hosting UC Riverside. First half, Rolando Lomelli chases down the through ball and slip it past the keeper into the net. Highlanders lead 1-0. Second half, Fullerton tries to respond. Jessie Sotelo has a breakaway but gets found in the box by the keeper. Referee says penalty. Christian Pinzon would take it. Beat goes right, beats the keeper. Titans tie the game at 1. 83rd minute, Sotelo takes a shot, but the referee says it hits the defender in the hand, so it'll be another PK. This time, Oscar Flores would take it and buries it in the same spot as Pinzon. That would be your final. Fullerton punches their ticket to the Big West tournament after the 2-1 win.
Women's cross country made history, brought home their first Big West championship. The Titans took first place with 44 points, as UC Davis came in second place with 50 points, and Cal Poly finished in third place with 51 points. Samantha Huerta led the way, finishing in second place for the second straight year. Trinity Ruelas finished in third place, and Sarah Hollis came in 10th place. All 3 women were named All Big West for finishing in the top 10.
On the men's side, the Titans secured second place, which had not been done since 1993.
Welcome back to another episode of Titan Sports, where we bring you the best coverage of Cal State Fullerton athletics. I'm Curtis Redmond.
And I'm Kyle Fulbright. The Titans kicked off conference play Wednesday on the road against CSUN, where they would fall 1-0. After starting off the season 8-0, the Titans had now lost 3 straight games. Looking to bounce back, they would host defending Big West champions UC Santa Barbara. Let's get out to Titan Stadium to check out the highlights. Cal State Fullerton men's soccer looks to snap this 3-game losing streak against a surging hot UCSB team. First half scoreless game, Rodney Michael crosses it in. Will Badeham, who scores the first goal of the game. Gauchos lead 1-0. 4 minutes later, Noah Billingsley finds Thibault Tandia, who scores the second goal of the game. UC Santa Barbara would go on to win 5-0.
Women's soccer visiting Long Beach State in the first half of a scoreless game. Eliza Laramine goes left foot to the back of the net. And Long Beach leads 1-0. Now on to the second half. Working on a set piece, Atlanta Privis scores a free kick and ties the game 1-1. 11 minutes later, Maddie Bennett steals the pass and takes it all the way and beats the keeper for the goal. The Titans would go on to win 2-1.
Coming up on Titan Sports, it's a win and you're in for men's basketball. But to clinch a spot in the Big West tournament, they'd have to get a 6th straight win over Long Beach State.
The women's basketball team already has a spot in the tournament, with a shot at the 2 seed in sight.
And Titan baseball missed with Texas. Find out how they did against the Longhorns in this week's episode of Titan Sports.
Welcome back to another episode of Titan Sports. I'm Nylene Garcia.
And I'm Brianna Collins. The Big West tournament begins next week, and the Titans were on the brink of falling out of the bracket. They had home court advantage against rivals Long Beach State in their final game of the season. Cal State Fullerton hosting rivals Long Beach State on senior night. 2 minutes into the first half, Titans up by 6. Jackson Rowe hits a 3-pointer to put Fullerton ahead 17-8. On the very next possession, Long Beach would respond. Michael Carter lobs it up to Joshua Morgan, who slams it down, and he would complete the and-on-one play. But the Titans still led 17-11. With 6 minutes remaining and Fullerton up by 7, Austin Owisica finds Rowe down low for the tough layup. Titans extend the lead 32-23. Second half action. Fullerton had 65-61 with 3 minutes to go. Romel Mansell finds Carter in the corner, fakes out the defender, and hits the 3-pointer. Long Beach makes a 1-point game, but with a minute left on the clock, and the Titans up by 6, Owisica shakes the defense and hits a tough shot. Fullerton holds to win on senior night, 75-69. With the Big West tournament coming up, we send it over to Cory Johnson and Elizabeth Williams for everything Titan basketball.
Thanks, guys. I'm Cory Johnson here with Elizabeth Williams.
March is officially here, and that means it's tournament time.
That's right. The Big West tournament is finally set to tip off as both the men and women's basketball teams are set to get it on. Let's see what's going on with the women. Liz, what happened in that game against UCI?
It was a tough loss. This loss caused them from potentially getting 2nd seed in the tournament to dropping down to now 7th. It was Women's Empowerment Night, so it was a big night. Started the first quarter off coming in hot, shooting well, but then they just lost the momentum, the possession. They weren't shooting well at all.
So, yeah, it was a definitely tough loss to UCI. But meanwhile, the Titans are going to finish, like you said, in 7th, and they got a first-round matchup against CSUN. What do you see happening in this matchup, and do you think they have what it takes to go all the way?
Honestly, I think they need to step it up on the offensive side, because defensively, they're holding it. They have a strong defense. The last time they played against CSUN, they lost by 7 points. They played them twice. So the first game was fairly close on the road. They lost in overtime, 63-57. But they need to step up that offense. They have one of the best shooting records in the Big West. Moving on to the men's basketball. Cory, how did they play against Long Beach State?
I felt like this was a really good test, and they pretty much hit on everything that I wanted for them to do. It was senior night, and all the seniors did a phenomenal job, especially Austin Owisica, Jackson Rowe, and Brandon Kamga. Austin Owisica went out player of the game for me. He went and got 13 points, 10 assists. Brandon Kamga went and had 19 points, Jackson Rowe with 15, and he started off the game hot, getting that 4-point play to start off the game. I just thought that they did everything, like I said, they hit on. They won the turnover battle. They had 13. Long Beach had 13 turnovers. They had 12, and they had 21 assists. 21 assists to 12 turnovers.
Okay.
So they were doing their thing. They also held Long Beach, who was a really good three-point shooting team, under 30% shooting, and they shot 40% from beyond the arc. That is some big-time stuff, and after the game, Coach Taylor said that this was by far one of the best games they had all season.
Are you ready for some football? Because the NFL is back.
The Shield came back with a bang, and we're back with one of our own. You're dialed into the first installment of Season 20 of Titan Sports. I'm Eric Valenciano.
And I'm Brianna Collins. So much has changed and so much is happening in the world, and that includes Cal State Fullerton Athletics. Due to the coronavirus, the Big West Conference announced the cancellation of the 2020 fall sports season. In the official announcement, the Big West said, the board noted a decision on whether fall sports competition would be feasible in the spring will be determined by the board of directors at a later date and be based on conditions and circumstances that are in the best interest of the student athletes.
In the pro ranks, leagues, teams, and players have all become accustomed to change over the past few months. And while NFL Sunday returned to its regularly scheduled program, there's no question, like most things in 2020, it looked and felt very different.
That's right, Eric. 2020 is just unpredictable. Throughout week one, there were no fans in the stands, forcing teams to play in mostly empty stadiums besides Kansas City and Jacksonville. Plus, across the league, players and teams showed their support for social justice and police reform, whether it was kneeling, locking arms, raising fists, or even just staying off the field during the national anthem. The NFL is letting their voices be heard.
It was history in the making during the 2019-20 college basketball season. The Cal State Fullerton women's basketball team achieved their first winning season in 30 years.
You know, I mean, just to erase that negative stigma, that dark cloud that's been hovering over this program for 3 decades. You know, it's a credit to our players, you know, just the resiliency that they had, the determination. I mean, they're motivated, and it's a big deal. I don't know if it resonates with them yet, you know, but you know, when it does sink in, you know, 30 years of losing and then finally getting that winning season, it's a huge accomplishment.
Head coach Jeff Harada led the Titans to a 17-14 overall record and guided the Titans to the quarterfinals of the Big West tournament. But since then, everything has changed because of the deadly coronavirus.
Yeah, it's been a long 7.5, 8 months, you know, just trying to navigate as safely and as best as we can through all the guidance and protocols, and, you know, trying to see what we're allowed to do and what we can't do. I mean, you know, nothing is really within our control.
And things have certainly been out of Harada's control. Like last year's leading scorer and Big West Conference Player of the Year, Reina Perez, transferring to NC State, senior guard Taylor Turney deciding to opt out and not play this season, and at one point, it was unclear whether or not Cal State Fullerton would even have a basketball season, especially after the Big West Conference announced the cancellation of fall sports.
It's just the circumstances, like everything is different. Obviously, we've had a lot of change even just within our team, so adjusting to that, we need a lot of new players to step up this year, so just trying to find that team chemistry. Even though we still have a lot of the players, it's a whole different team dynamics.
It was definitely a you know, tense fall as to see what would happen, you know, whether or not we'd even have a season. Been waiting for those decisions, when we would be allowed back to campus to even start practice and workouts.
Now entering his 4th season, Harada is looking to become just the 3rd coach in program history to lead the Titans to back-to-back winning seasons.
But at the end of the day, you know, we're trying to build off what we accomplish next season. You know, in no way or means are we satisfied. Technically, we didn't win anything. You know, I mean, yeah, we had a winning season, which is awesome. Very proud of our players, you know, the program steps that we've taken. But that wasn't, you know, the ultimate goal. You know, that was one of our goals. And The ultimate goal is obviously to compete for a championship and to ultimately win a championship. So that's still, in the back of our heads. That's still the goal, at the end of the day. But, right now, our number one goal is to stay healthy.
Cal State Fullerton will play their first conference games on the road against Cal State Northridge December 27th and December 28th. For OC News, this has been Cory Johnson.